If, as the Trumpists say, that all lives matter, then why aren't all the conservatives lining up to get vaccinated? Trumpsters like to say that the one reason they don't wear the mask is that COVID has a 99% survival rate. Unfortunately for them, death isn't the only problem with COVID. 1 in 10 survivors of COVID have at least one or more of the following symptoms: fatigue, shortness of breath, difficulty breathing, cough, joint pain, chest pain, memory, concentration or sleep problems, muscle pain or headache, fast or pounding heartbeat, loss of smell or taste, depression or anxiety, fever, dizziness when standing, worsened symptoms after physical or mental activities. Additionally, imaging tests taken months after a recovery from COVID-19 have shown lasting damage to the heart muscle, even in people who experienced only mild COVID-19 symptoms. This may increase the risk of heart failure or other heart complications in the future. Damage can also affect the lungs. The type of pneumonia often associated with COVID-19 can cause long-standing damage to the tiny air sacs in the lungs. The resulting scar tissue can lead to long-term breathing problems. Even in young people, COVID-19 can cause strokes, seizures, and Guillain-Barré syndrome, a condition that causes temporary paralysis. COVID-19 may also increase the risk of developing Parkinson's disease and Alzheimer's disease. A recent discovery is that COVID-19 has been linked to increased erectile dysfunction as well. Of course, this pretty much explains every male in the Republican Party. The Trump terrorists also claim that they don't like wearing masks because it's hard to breathe in them. I am convinced that any male who has trouble breathing with a mask on has never satisfied a woman orally. I never had any difficulty at all breathing with a mask on, but then I'm not fat, out of shape, and a red state hillbilly. What I find especially amusing is that a lot of people claiming that they have difficulty breathing in a COVID mask are the same people who have no difficulty at all breathing in a KKK hood and mask. At any rate, if all these Trumptards wanting a civil war are having so much trouble breathing with a mask on, then if they ever do decide to actually start their promised civil war, all you have to do to be safe is run up a flight of stairs. What I find funny is that the same people who claim they can't breathe in a mask are the ones who are calling us snowflakes. It's also endlessly hilarious that they think they're somehow owning the libtards by refusing to wear a mask. That'd be like refusing to wear a life jacket or to get in a lifeboat when the Titanic sank while shouting, "You can't make me wear a life vest." Dude, I don't give a shit if you drown or not. You're not the one owning me by trying to kill yourself. You're just making yourself look stupid. Another amusing excuse the Trunts like to give for not wearing a mask is that they refuse to live their lives in fear. So, they refuse to live their lives in fear, yet they're afraid of socialism, Black Lives Matter, Antifa, Bill Gates, vaccines, 5G, and a host of other QAnon conspiracies. Speaking of conspiracies, it's getting hard to keep up with them. So tell me if I've got this right. Hydroxychloroquine cures COVID, which is a fake virus and a hoax that was created in a lab in China as a bioweapon, but only kills 1% of the people. Does that cover everything? Something else I've been wondering. If hydroxychloroquine prevents COVID, why did Trump catch it? Either he was lying about taking hydroxychloroquine, or he was lying about catching COVID. So which is it? Anti-maskers and anti-vaxxers also like to claim that it's about freedom, and people wearing masks and getting vaccines are somehow sheep. In reality, just the opposite is true. Trump and his Russian allies have them so brainwashed that they're literally willing to die to obey their lord and master. And many have done exactly that, dying of COVID in the hospital while denying they have COVID with their dying breath. What's especially ironic is that they don't wear masks and don't get vaccinated because their orange lord and master told them not to, even though he himself wore a mask and was one of the first people in line to be vaccinated as soon as the vaccine became available. Conservatives like to call us sheep for wearing masks and getting vaccines. How dare we obey the government and comply by wearing masks and getting vaccinated? Funny that these are the same people whose answer to police brutality is just obey the government and you won't get hurt. Speaking of sheep, winter will be here in a couple of months, and I'm already seeing people with hats and coats on. What a bunch of sheep these people are. I did my own research and found out that only 1,500 people per year die of hypothermia in the United States. That's less than 0.001% of the U.S. population. So all of those people wearing hats and coats are living in fear of something that only 1 in 200,000 people die from. And it gets even better. Out of that 1,500 who died, most of them were wearing hats and coats. So obviously hats and coats do nothing to prevent hypothermia. While we're at it, tornado season is also upon us. And don't let anyone try to take your freedom by telling you to stay inside just because there's a tornado warning. It's your right to be outside, and anyone telling you to stay indoors is just trying to take your freedom away. Besides, more people die from the flu every year than from tornadoes, so you have nothing to fear from a tornado warning. The GOP terrorist Deanna Lorraine gave the Trumpsters another excuse for not wearing a mask. She said that if you wear a mask, it means you don't trust God to protect you from the virus. What I find funny is how they're the same people who own multiple guns because they don't trust their God to protect them in their own homes. I'm willing to bet that a large percentage of the anti-maskers and anti-vaxxers are Russian bots being programmed to kill American citizens. According to researchers at Carnegie Mellon University, nearly half of the accounts spreading anti-vax and anti-mask propaganda on Twitter are bots. Researchers there examined more than 200 million tweets discussing the virus since January 2020 and found that about 45% were sent by accounts that were Russian bots. So if someone is online trying to sell you anti-mask or anti-vax propaganda, the odds are about 50-50 that that person is a Russian bot. So what about the other 50%? What drives them? Assuming they're not just brainwashed to obey everything their orange lord and master tells them to think, a recent study published in Science Direct indicated that the more than half of the people refusing to wear masks scored very high on psychopathy tests. In other words, anti-maskers, like their orange god, are psychopaths. And the ones who aren't are just gullible enough to believe any conspiracy theory that QAnon wants to sell them. As long as we're inventing conspiracies, here's one. What if anti-mask propaganda was started by the FBI because the masks make you invisible to facial recognition software? So it made it easier to identify the Trump terrorist traitors who instigated the Capitol riots. Or even better, what if Hillary Clinton invented anti-mask propaganda so that all the Trump supporters would catch COVID and die? One of the saddest and most telling aspects of the Trump tirades about COVID is their vendetta against Dr. Fauci. This campaign of terror against the leading expert in the field of immunology makes no sense whatsoever unless you look at it as a foreign nation's attempt to destroy our ability to respond in a pandemic. The only way I can make sense of it is to look at it as some sort of dark op created by Putin to discredit our leading experts so that we trust no medical professionals, thus making it easier to wipe out America with a real manufactured pandemic. Dr. Fauci is the 35th most cited living researcher in the field of immunology on the planet. He pioneered life-saving AIDS treatments, was awarded the National Medal of Science, the Mary Woodward Lasker Award for Public Service, and a host of other awards in the field of immunology. He has also received 50 honorary doctoral degrees from universities in the United States and abroad. Dr. Fauci is a member of the National Academy of Sciences, the National Academy of Medicine, the American Academy of Arts and Sciences, and the American Philosophical Society, as well as other professional societies, including the American College of Physicians, the American Society for Clinical Investigation, the Association of American Physicians, the Infectious Diseases Society of America, and so on and so on. He serves on the editorial boards of many scientific journals as an author, a co-author, or editor of more than 1,300 scientific publications, including multiple textbooks. Fauci has served under 6 presidents, including George W. Bush. In 2008, Bush presented the Presidential Medal of Freedom to Fauci for his determined and aggressive efforts to help others live longer and healthier lives. The current attempts to slander this highly qualified doctor are being led by the likes of Rand Paul, Lauren Boebert, and Jim Jordan. The extent of Rand Paul's medical expertise is that he claims to be a board-certified ophthalmologist on a board that he created by himself and that he put his wife and father-in-law in charge of. Lauren Boebert dropped out of high school, has been arrested 3 times, and is currently married to a man who was arrested for exposing himself to minors. Jim Jordan was a pedophile enabler at Ohio State University. So these are the people trying to discredit this highly qualified doctor. This war against Dr. Fauci sets a dangerous precedent. If we keep casting out our leading experts like this, eventually nobody will want to serve in a public capacity. When that happens, Trump and Putin will have won. In the meantime, Trumpturds will continue to avoid masks and vaccinations, and they will continue to get ill and die in disproportionate numbers, thereby steadily decreasing the GOP voter base. Man, I love it when the trash takes itself out.